As we saw in our previous Ad Watch report in the Senate race, at least one candidate in Pennsylvania's governor's race is also trying to use his opponent's words against him in TV ads. We checked the claims in this ad from Democrat Josh Shapiro, which features claims from his opponent, Republican Doug Mastriano.
Texas had big plans to...
This ad from the Shapiro campaign is trying to make the case that Doug Mastriano's positions on certain social issues would cost Pennsylvania jobs. The ad cites examples of that happening in other states. Here are the claims made against Mastriano.
But Doug Mastriano wants to do both: outlaw abortion,
my body, my choice, is ridiculous nonsense,
and gay rights.
Should gay marriage be legal?
Absolutely not.
The clip used for that first claim, that Mastriano wants to outlaw abortion,
I am Doug Mastriano,
comes from a Mastriano campaign YouTube video that's called The Right to Life. In it, Mastriano explains his opposition to abortion. Here's more context to that clip.
The idea that in 2022 we deny science, that we're still told it's a blob of tissue in a mother's womb, my body, my choice, is ridiculous nonsense here.
In a primary debate in April, also on YouTube, Mastriano said that he does not support any exemptions to abortion and wants to ban abortion at conception.
I'm at conception. We're going to have to work our way towards that.
Later in the debate, he was asked if a woman who has an abortion or doctors who perform them should be punished. Mastriano did not answer the part about the woman, but said doctors should be punished.
The doctor should be under Governor Mastriano, because it's going to be a crime as governor.
So by using Mastriano's own words that abortion would be a crime, we find the ad's claim that Mastriano wants to outlaw abortion is true. The second claim is that Mastriano wants to outlaw gay rights, specifically referencing same-sex marriage.
Should gay marriage be legal?
Absolutely not.
That clip came from a conservative talk radio show in 2018 when Mastriano ran unsuccessfully for Congress. Here's his full answer to the question.
Should gay marriage be legal?
Absolutely not. I'm for traditional marriage, and I am not a hater for saying that. It's been like that for 6,000 years. It was the first institution founded by God in Genesis, and it needs to stay that way.
News 8 reached out to the Mastriano campaign and asked if Mastriano's opposition to same-sex marriage would mean that he would want to outlaw it as governor. His campaign did not respond to 4 requests for comment over a week. Shapiro's campaign told News 8 that Mastriano saying he's for traditional marriage and it, quote, needs to stay that way is its justification for the claim that Mastriano would outlaw same-sex marriage if given the opportunity. Without clarification from Mastriano's campaign, though, we feel we don't have enough information to independently conclude that. The last fact check involves the last part of the ad.
Now Pennsylvania companies have made it clear Mastriano's plans will cost Pennsylvania jobs.
The headline you see is from a Pittsburgh news outlet that says a Pittsburgh company will move operations should PA ban abortions. It's a reference to the company Duolingo, which is headquartered in Pittsburgh. But Duolingo told us that headline is a mischaracterization. The company does not have plans to move its operations or cut jobs from Pennsylvania if the state bans abortion. But the CEO tweeted in June that the company would grow its offices elsewhere if the state banned abortion, which the company told us would end up costing jobs in Pennsylvania. Shapiro's campaign also pointed News 8 to an announcement from Google, which has an office in Pittsburgh, reminding employees that they can relocate to a different state. The reminder went out right after the Supreme Court overturned the federal right to an abortion. So while the text of the claim you see on the screen is not accurate, the narration you hear that Mastriano's plans will cost Pennsylvania jobs, we find, is true. And we'll continue checking political ads in the big races through the election. So if you see one that you're wondering about, reach out to me on my Facebook page and let me know. Matt Barcaro, WGAL News 8.